Hello again, thank you for joining me for another video. So I've been thinking about purifying the mind. Once you are awakened, once you have a spiritual awakening, what happens is you go through a series of stages where you need to purify yourself. You purify yourself in stages. So physically, if you don't purify your body to a certain degree, it cannot hold the new energy and allow for the cleansing that really needs to occur. You have to feel somewhat stabilized in your physical body in order to move to the next level. And after you kind of get a little bit of that under control, so you're dropping your addictions and really attempting to get the nourishment that you need. There isn't like a specific diet that I used throughout my awakening process. Actually, I switched a few different times. So at different times during my awakening process, I had to eat different kinds of foods in order to support whatever it was that I was, letting go of, shedding, or attempting to call in and establish and maintain. So I went the full gamut from, vegetarian to complete keto, and now it's more of, I guess, still mostly keto, but not completely. So closer to whole foods now, but without no processed. I still cannot tolerate. My whole life though, I could not tolerate processed food. So really doing a lot of in the beginning, I had to just slam the smoothies. I needed to have nourishment so much that I couldn't get enough of the just all of the good stuff in with the mix in the blender every day religiously to rebuild my system, because I was very ill. And after you get some stabilization into your actual physical energy, your physical state of being, the next thing that you're going to be purifying is that mental state, your thoughts. Your thoughts have to be clarified in order to meet the rest of the demands that come. So if you have a lot of weird beliefs, if you have been trained in a certain style of thinking about the way that the world is, your politics, your beliefs about your role in society, your ranking in society, your morality, those kinds of things, that's all taking up your mental space, and it will be challenged during a spiritual awakening, so that some of the things that you thought before were kind of just cut and dry, obvious, you might not be able to hold those thoughts anymore. You might question them. How could I ever think that? Why did I think that was a normal thing? And those sorts of things. And you really can dig very deeply into the ethics of being a human being, to the point of to use diet. A lot of people at that stage where they're clearing out their mental faculties, mental processes, thoughts, will look at things like eating animals and need to understand the ethical choice that they are making, the full brunt of that ethical choice. For me, looking at the full brunt of politics, and looking at the full brunt of how our choices with what we buy affect the people who are making it, the people who work in the places, the towns that are supported by some of those kinds of jobs, and really digging into a broader perspective on the ethics of our daily lives, the things that we used to maybe take for granted now have to be actually thought through. So for me, it was really investigating everything: religion, politics, what I eat, why I eat what I eat, what it is to be a woman, what it is to be a mother, things that I blamed myself for, the way that society is made up, and trying to understand how is society fixed the way that it is? How is it so immovable, in the constructs that we hold in tandem? And you can really get caught up in like some of the, theories about how things came to be this way, noticing how many lies are told throughout our education that aren't absolutes the way that they're taught. So things are taught as if they're absolutes, as if we have found the golden key to uncovering reality, when it really does appear as if we are shaping it as we go. And so that's where I was thinking all those things because I thought they were true, but as I was convinced that they were true, they come into being, and it is just a flip of the switch that the mind. And so it can get tricky to get to a level of purification that doesn't take you into rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, searching for that one actual material truth, because all of that training leads you to believe that there is one material truth, and honest to God, there is not. It's a reflection, and that accepting that is part of the process of purifying the mental state, and being able to take everything with a grain of salt back against that parameter. And from there you purify your emotional state. You purify what is triggering emotions, what is hooking you again and again into a karmic cycle. Our emotions will hook us into a karmic cycle. It's like a vibratory little line, and on a train track we go down and around. And you get better as you purify your emotional states. You get better at catching what triggers you, how to avoid them, how to calm your nervous system through them, maintain, and not lash out at others, which will keep that charge going longer and longer and more ferociously. And forgiveness. Purifying your emotional body requires forgiveness, and so a lot of people get stuck, and it's really challenging in our modern times. Also very easy, because there's so much activating, constantly activating the mental state to test your belief system, to test your what are you holding on to, what's really got you, what has its hold on you. Every single time you see it, you get kind of fired up. I'm sure you get little news, the daily news, at least 3 days of the week I'll get a story about homelessness, because it's one of my, poverty is one of the things that I care very deeply about. And I always wonder, is everybody getting that many stories on homelessness? And my guess is no, they're not. And so I have to, even though I care very deeply about this subject, I have to pay attention to what beliefs are being said, what thoughts come after that. Do I have a set of judgments that come after that? Does it feed into an emotional pull that makes me engage in some sort of karmic activity, attempting to establish my will on something that is not my business? Homelessness is my business to a degree, so don't misunderstand me, but each individual's opinion on it is not my business. My business is my own, right? And that's how you purify. You purify your thoughts about a thing. I don't have to decide how other people are thinking about this and guess at what their behavior is going to be based on a few words, and then create enough emotion within myself based on that to respond with action. And that's it, that's the karmic cycle. So you purify that. I notice that I care about this, and that because I'm aligned with the divine will give me the task to attend to those things, and that I don't need to get pulled into it by a hook, because the divine puts it in front of you with your specific skill set in place. So you're not reacting with this emotional charge, but actually being placed where you can be of service because you are actually fully centered and in control. So purifying the emotional state during a time when we are, we have all of the entertainment in the world, we have all of the connection to each other and how each other's, emotional states are, and we're, mirroring each other a lot in that way and not always catching. So it is pretty intense attempting to purify some of these fields in this day and time, and trying to, without completely checking out and maintaining that, the present awareness, the nowness, being there for the next generations coming up, trying to synthesize as much information as possible of the new with what we know from the old so that they got something to work with. Yes, you still have to show up as you're going through the process of purifying your patterns, purifying your habits, purifying the tendencies that were based on, maybe wounds, or I saw somebody else do this, or I believe this is what expected of me. After you get your emotions, which probably, that's like a lifetime, you're always working on purifying and really tuning the emotions so that they are creating sweet spaces for others. And compassion, you're able to hold genuine, authentic compassion. You don't have to shy away from the tough stuff. You don't have to run away from people who are suffering. You can actually hold space with them so they're not alone in it. After you purify that stage, and then you have to start purifying your beliefs about this spiritual world and what that looks like, which means you're going to start interacting with the spiritual world, with the unseen. And that takes on like some really interesting dimensions, which I think you can notice that a lot of people can get caught up in. We get caught up in an idea of angels and these higher beings that are helping us, that can somehow see things that we can't see better than we can. We need their information, channeled messages and signs and synchronicities and even astrology, and how are these huge forces of nature and cycles affecting us, and aliens, where they come in, where are they on the timeline, and that whole realm. You have way more beliefs, opinions, and patterns already established in something that isn't even like a big part of your everyday life. Well, for most people, I should say. And that has to be purified, because there will be judgments in there. There will be opinions. I remember one day I was talking to a mother of my son's friends, and she had mentioned something about like Ancient Aliens, I think, the History Channel, and she kind of like, oh, I was watching this, and it just struck me like how, the assumptions we make about things that we don't know. We don't know. We have opinions about it, but there is not a knowing. There's just an opinion, because in the now we have a whole bunch of definitions for things, and then judgments of the definitions, because there's an emotional charge. People have an emotional charge related to definitions, and so that will influence how much we pay attention to it. And so a lot of those things have to be purified. I know in the beginning, because I was raised in a like mostly Christian upbringing, so my mom was, she's had a tarot deck and could see ghosts. But other than that, we went to church, and I was raised in a parochial school. So what I knew of the spiritual world had tons of pre-established boundaries. So I had opinions about anybody who talked about channeling certain kinds of entities. If they said they were channeling an angel, that is not my understanding of an angel, and there would be a little bit of a judgment there. People that go on and on about, the occult and the signs and the synchronicities and the secret order of this and that, and missing the impact of language of all of our indigenous people, so power that is given to a group of people because you can see their signs and symbols, does not negate all of the information that has come across, the indigenous of this planet, and the languages we don't hear on a daily basis, which are also feeding into our harmonic fields. So things like that. So all of that unseen, we have opinions about it, and it has to be purified instead of charged up and taken into the realm of more karma, because you create karma at all of these levels, and it gets more intense the broader and more purified your soul gets. That's a lot of a lot bigger, a lot less filters the bigger you get. And we see this playing out with each other. It's like so amazing. And so it's a really interesting time. I wonder sometimes, how everybody is doing with the modern realm, the modern world we're living in, and the purification remains the same. We're still attempting to get to a level of stillness and access the stillness within us, because there are rivers of peace there, right? That can be very beneficial, especially with all the chaos. That sense of okayness, the sense of stability that comes when you can quiet all of these different levels of your fields is incredible. And it does take a tuning through, a walking through the purification and returning on each layer, and as they go around and returning to the center. And it goes beyond, right? So I just, those are the obvious ones that everyone's kind of like picking up on and aware of. There's an other side to all of them. It isn't just a spiritual battle. It is also, the God and the devil within you that have come together and made peace. It is, the past and the present and the future having their own harmony, their own unique harmony, and that mirroring that we offer each other with our presence and with our stability and our purified state. The more we purify ourselves and allow the expansive consciousness to come in, the less likely we are to engage in karmic acts of a collective nature that everyone faces together. So it helps to deal with your own stuff, so you are one less person adding to that potential, emotional dysregulation of the social world. So that's my 2 cents for today. Thank you for joining me. I did just want to give a quick update. I started another channel. I have not uploaded videos to it yet, but I have decided to separate out the energy healing from the talkie talk so that they are on 2 different channels. You will see a link for that below in the description, and feel free to, please do, well, just feel free to, but please do subscribe to it. That's where I'm going to do energy stuff and kind of trying to focus more specifically on just shadow work, getting the purification going, helping along with it. It was one of the best tools that I used. All of the people who were uploading guided meditations really helped me clear my field and get as far along as I did. So I would like to offer that back to people as a service. So hope you are well. See you next time. Take care.